The previous Zeus team with some of the players from 2 years ago are back on board. And Icy, for you guys that caught the action with Group Yellow, this guy was absolutely on fire the entire 4 days of play for that group. It was absolutely mental, and it's good to see IHC Jason back on board on the global stage and performing as well as they did.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Tixie the benchmark when it came to damage when we looked at just the first two groups yesterday? I know he was the benchmark when it came to eliminations, but that's interesting to see that there's, three more people who did more damage than him, showing that this new group coming in with Group Yellow has a lot of heavy hitters. But team-wise, HVVP is still going to maintain that #1 position, Sandstorm.
Yeah, they still reign supreme when it comes to the damage, and it's just absolutely insane seeing not only are they the most when it comes to damage, but they're also the most when it comes to movement around the map as well. They're the team that traveled the most throughout the first day of the survival stage as well. So, and it was like a difference of 20,000 as well. So that's a massive amount that they're just traveling and rotating, and it just goes to show how much work comes out from the side of HVVP when we're looking at these games. And again, even eliminations, these guys are just unstoppable with 116.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that's, been tried and tested, right? We've known them under a different banner before. We've known them as being a top team in the world here at Max, and the pressure's starting to turn on for them, right? Their focus was, we're not going to sign with an org until we're done with PMGC. Well, right now, they need to qualify to the finals.
Exactly. The thing is, if HVVP do really well and go to the grand finals and they perform there, I think that they're going to have a list of emails saying like, we're potentially interested in picking you up, HVVP. I'm surprised it didn't happen before PMGC, but it's just looking great for them so far in this tournament. But I'm really hyped to see what HG can do because, as you know, Star Wars, another Mongolian team, already qualified directly to the grand finals. It would be super hyped to have the two only Mongolian team make it to the grand finals. So a lot of potential pressure on the side of IHC.
I mean, the fact is, right, for IHC, they were the team to bring Mongolia to the forefront in PUBG Mobile to show us what that region, what that country has for experience and for skill. And it's nice to see another team rise through the ranks, but to see the old guard, the original, the OGs get through back into the finals, that would be insane for me.
I'd love that. It would be amazing, really, if they could just come back, fight versus Stalwart, see which is the best Mongolian team. I think that would be a big question to see how things are going to pan out. But going through some of the replays of yesterday, Enigma Sunstorm.
Listen, can we not talk about them today? They're not even playing today's games, okay? They're not even playing today's games. We can leave them be for now.
I mean, there's a lot of great individual plays we saw yesterday. I mean, we started things off with a bang. I think we finished off with a bang as well. We had a couple of great city finishes, too, on top of this. But looking ahead to what's coming up here, I mean, there's one team in particular that, I'm sorry, Max, I'm going to have to make you talk about. It's Game Lord. I think if we were to be completely blunt about it, the performance we saw out of them in PMPL, we did not expect them to get into the survival stage. They got through off points originally to PMGC, but to make it into this next stage, we thought wouldn't be happening. I feel like they have a lot of pressure on their shoulders, but they have been able to at least survive for now, and that's, at least for me, a good sign.
I feel like we knew it was going to be tough for them in PMPL because the addition of all the CIS teams is going to make the region as a whole just a lot tougher to deal with. And I think that, they made it further than I potentially initially thought. So far, they're living up to some good expectations. I want to see if they can maybe go to the last chance. That would be my next question.
I mean, if they qualify and Mad Bulls didn't, that to me is just what's happening
exactly
in this world right now, But as we take a look at our overall rankings, those Sandstorm from the first day, Vampire currently in the lead, but only by 2 points. There really isn't a big gap developing pretty much anywhere across the leaderboards, though we do see maybe between 10th.
Definitely about the top 16, but leading the charge. Not that big of a difference, but when we're looking towards the second page, this is where things get interesting because Power Gaming are the only team from Group Green who are basically at the very bottom. If they don't start off today's games with an insane performance, if we don't see a massive change from game one, they are going to struggle throughout the day and they're not going to make it into the next stage.
Well, remember, Green, at the end of the day, they're going to be done. And if you're there, if you're Power, you have to put in a good performance today, or you're going to be almost out today, especially if you fall out of top 16 before we even finish things off. But looking at some of our top performers from yesterday, Vampire, that average damage, as you mentioned before, Sandstorm going out in 14th place twice and still pulling off that high of numbers is pretty ridiculous.
I mean, the amount of times that they just pick the right time to enter the zone is just absolutely ridiculous from the side of Vampire. We can definitely see how they were able to come out on top in PMWI and get that first place, and then doing it again here so far, just absolutely insane to see.
Schweppes was the big standout for the team of Vampire. He had half the eliminations of his team at one point in the tournament yesterday. I think after game 4, game 5. Schweppes is absolutely on the ball so far in this tournament, and if they can replicate it today, their spot in the last chance is almost pretty much confirmed, but this has potential to also convert in a spot in the grand finals. And we said it, Thailand is looking great this PMGC, and with FaZe joining the mix today, I think that we can expect some good things from the whole region right now.
Well, speaking of FaZe, thank you so much.
No.
Typically, when we talk about FaZe and we have somebody interviewed for FaZe, we typically see them throw up their sign. Now, when talking about it while watching an interview, Max will say, well, how can he throw up the sign? He's holding a microphone. If you're at home and you know what it is and how to do it, then you kind of understand how ridiculous of a comment that is. But Max, I want to see you throw up the FaZe Clan sign.
I've been trying for like 5 minutes, and is it like
easy?
Is it? I don't remember.
It's this. There, F. That's it.
Oh, like that. Yes. Okay, I got it. Yes. Okay. I thought it was like something like you'd have to go like that, and you would do 2. I don't remember. That's on me.
Well, you're not allowed to pick FaZe Clan, I think, as a team to watch, but you did eventually get the logo, as you can see here. You've got Reject in there. Happy to see them. Actually, talk to me about them.
I mean, I want to talk about them mostly because I feel really sad for them. They lost their spot to the grand finals in the final game to T2K. That was just an absolute, my heart goes out to all of Japan right now after that match. It felt really bad. But I would have to say, this is the PMGC where I would say a Japanese team has looked the strongest they have ever been. They've been a hyper-consistent team. When they took some top games, it was really, really confident wins, looking super aggressive. I feel like this, once again, is the most aggressive we have seen, especially Reject, in all previous PMGCs where they have participated. So I gotta say, my hopes are really high for them, and I really hope we can see them in the last chance, and if not, maybe making the grand finals. I think they have the potential to make it this year.
I think just like South Korea, we've seen Japan every year just kind of get better and better and better. Thinking back to what Bluebees on the first PMGC we had, Max, we were pleasantly surprised at them. But you know what? Sandstorm, Power, talk to me.
I mentioned it before, and I'm going to mention it again. They have to start off with a massive change today. They need to start off at least with a chicken dinner to kind of alleviate some of that pressure, and the fact that they're in last place before we even start today's games. That has to change. Skylights Gaming and Bacon, specifically Bacon, they did get themselves a chicken dinner, yes, but you need to continue that performance if you want to guarantee a spot in the top 16 as well.
Well, we're going to find out soon as we'll be starting off the day here with our first match of 6. It's going to be over to our casters, though, to bring you all the action with John, Allen, and Blake.
The first showing for the yellow teams. We're going to be going into match number 1, Blank. We're already raring to go, of course, as we are every single day that we're here. But if you're looking at any of these new teams coming into this from yellow, as particularly strong or maybe particularly vulnerable with a lot to prove.
I think that, you're coming into this one and you're worried about some of these teams, maybe not all of them. I do think this is probably our weakest group here. I know that some people probably don't want to hear that. However, you're looking at Game Lord, who really struggled during that Western Europe Championship. It was good to see them get through Group Yellow, honestly, over and from that 4th to 11th to get into survival stage in the first place. But the real question now is, can they make it through the survival stage? I think that, all things considered, I do think there's teams that should be below them. However, they have shown us a constant decline, in which case, if there hasn't been some really big problem solving, they may even drop out of the top 16. Reject, though, constantly coming back, constantly making themselves known over in the PMGC. We'll see what they can get done here. Honestly, a lot of these players you should be knowing, to be honest, about now. Duello, Raging Divine, just this. This is a well-made group of a lot of the best Japanese players that we have, including just this coming through from Korea. So I'm excited for Reject in particular. I think maybe they can make it through. It would be nice to get to PMGC, but again, I'm always disappointed at the end of things. This seems to be a very, very bad turn of events for Japan a lot of times, but I think maybe this is the year for that to change. For a lot of different regions now stepping up in major ways and shaking up the balance in terms of regional power. Circle, not quite hit ourselves yet, but Plain Path very much to the south here, John.
They're really, really heavy on that south side, cutting down from Mill to Power down to Primorsk, essentially, there on the plain. So places like North George going to be harder to get to for HVVP. They do sometimes alternate drop to Sosnovka military base. It looks like that's what they'll be going for this time as well. They play sort of on the west side of that. Places up north will be harder to get to, and that's what we'll be seeing from these teams. The Pubg drop from Alpha 7, so they are going to be able to head out to that east coast standout. IHC going for Nova Ratnoya. Of course, these are the yellow teams starting to find their place over in Erangel. This is the first time we're seeing them drop as well, so it'll be interesting if there's any sort of hot drops. South Plain Path, North Circle.
Yeah, this is a really rough one to start off the day here for a lot of these teams at the moment. Getting all the way up towards that north side of the circle is going to be tough. A lot of teams should be making their way out nice and early. Besiktas, though, fortunately, pace does go down to none other than Nenebete coming through from Inco, who's made a massive splash to the scene from yesterday. A fantastic amount of work done from basically just him with the support from the rest of his team. Currently sat very high up in the rankings at 63 points currently. HVP as well as VPE able to pick up some major points yesterday towards the end of the day, sit themselves now at 67 and 69. But I think Inco was the big surprise from a lot of us, and Nenebete still going all his loans. So this is versus another team over on this side. So very, very enjoyable to watch this guy play. So I think if anyone to look out for in terms of individual players, it's definitely Nenebete. He's made a name for himself throughout a lot of PMPL so far, and now in PMGC, still kicking it strong.
Absolutely. I tell you what. Tell you who else is kicking it strong. It's Captain Messi. Well, actually, Captain Messi is joining the PUBG Mobile Battlefield. Stand out on the battleground with the Messi football icon set. Grab them in PUBG Mobile now.
Absolutely. Really, really fun outfit as well. I mean, Flav was wearing it yesterday on the broadcast.
I'm so jealous.
Very jealous indeed. And also, I'm jealous of all of you at home who do have access over towards that 2022 PMGC special crate. That's running from December 5th, so not quite out yet through to January 8th, but you have a long, long while to pick that up over an entire month. So make sure you are playing over Christmas. Spend time with your family as well, but also do make sure you get your hands on that 2022 special crate.
Absolutely. Make sure you're heading on over and checking that out. Still going. Peace, they lost one earlier, sure, but they are going to have their revenge on Satan this time around to be able to pick up a point. A little bit of a boost to them, of course, in both of those teams' first games of this stage of the tournament. Shots going through, and actually Skylights Gaming going 1-for-1 on the trade. Ragnar unlikely to be able to get back up here.
That is an impressive amount of eliminations that are going through this early on, John. Honestly, I'm somewhat surprised. However, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
It's the South Plain Path, right? Going
it
for
is
those
that
vehicles,
South Plain Path. 100%, yeah. We're having a lot of crossings at this point in time. Geek, obviously losing one of their players there, not great for them. And now we're even looking down towards Tem Entertainment versus Besiktas. Sessi, Enjoy, Son HP looking to finish off this fight. Losing a player early in piece, not ideal, but the speed at which Sessi was able to pick up that individual elimination, kind of ridiculous.
It certainly was. I mean, that brought a little bit of spice to their life, I'm sure. Besiktas standing off on the west side of Yasnaya Poliana. At the moment, they are kind of locked into this by Tem Entertainment. Tem Entertainment absolutely pushing forwards on this. I wonder if Besiktas rolled up on the western side, actually, after the loot came through. The double barrel in hand. Bevy on the top rope with the Scar. Try and take some shots down, stop any pushes coming through, but Enjoy on the ground floor has a player on the inside to worry about. Double barrel of his own, has a Vector as well. So, cooking that nade, but so is Zessi. Putting them back.
भाई उन लोगों का प्लेयर 3 नॉक उसका तो
We go.
टीएम शायद से टीएम होगा सच
That was,
रखना पड़ेगा उसको
I was blinded. However,
रखना
Besiktas
पड़ेगा उसको
seemed to have not had a great
रखना
time
पड़ेगा
during that. 2 players went down. Apologies we couldn't bring you the action whilst it was occurring. Talk about the playing path. It's the only thing that we had in mind at the time. In this point, Son HP will just be leaving us alone though. Tell them to fend off against Besiktas. Son HP end for the wind. If you don't realise why you've got first to 6th place on the rankings currently with a lot of points here is because 2 groups played 6 of their total 12 matches yesterday, and now we have our new group in yellow coming in. That's from 6 teams from 12th downward. This is our secondary group, 8 teams, and they will be playing their 6 games today. Way up.
Part in good time pull up a little bit closer on the compound, and Bacon Time have to divert a little bit further south. Be chivied on their way on this northern side circle.
I mean, Bingo getting into position very quickly here. They're loving to set themselves up into some very central spots with this northern circle, though less than ideal to get towards that centre early on, purely because there are going to be so many teams who have already made their rotation up on towards this side of the map, crossing the waters early. I think, Skylight's Gaming done a good job to get up towards Severny as early as they did and then fend off some teams coming their way. It's something that Box Gaming struggled with yesterday, which is getting into a spot and then just really not holding that same presence, in which case later on you essentially just become a stepping stone for other teams. So it's good news for Skylight's Gaming, especially in terms of their point scoring, 36 right now. I think if they want to look safe in towards those finals, they do need to pump those scores up just slightly.
Just a little bit. And of course, today is the last chance for Group Green to get those points on the card as well. 6 games remain for them. Another docket on the menu for the yellow teams, but they'll still want to be putting as much as they can up and on the wall. Set that marker high if you can. HVVP and IHC both moving in from the south side, west and east respectively. You see they'll have to make their way up and most likely north of the river. Most teams have already committed to that north side though, so it might be tricky. However, HVVP, it's kind of home ground advantage on that west edge, right? North George, their drop spot.
Definitely a possibility to be able to get themselves into a nice spot here. Inco though, again, Skylight's Gaming, torn apart. This team is looking very good, and it feels like that confidence factor is coming in clutch at the moment, and that is very essential for them. Like you said, Group Green, this is their last day of play today. That includes Inco at the moment, so they would like to bump their scores up from 63, get themselves into a very, very solid position where it's very unlikely that they'll fall out. Skylight's Game, on the other hand, 36 points, losing a play like this early on, as well as being in Group Green, their last day of play. They don't want to be going out with a set of bad games, because it could quite easily be that today Skylight's Gaming get 10 points on the day. That is something that could 100% happen, in which case yesterday getting that decent scoring in towards that medium bracket means absolutely.
Vampire. Day 1 LMS.
So I'd like to say that
could pose a bit of a problem. I think for these two teams in particular, VPE and HVVP almost want to work hand in hand. I know it's a little bit crazy to say that considering their first and second place at the moment, but being both in Group Green and both looking to essentially get the last chance. Yes, right now it'd be great to be in first place because you do get that big bump in prize pool. It's not a massive bump though, it's just $1,000 up every single time you jump a placement. But for both these teams, it would be unwise to fight against one another when they both know that they're both very capable at taking each other out. So I think that for both these teams, yes, keep slight distance from one another unless it comes down to it, you're 1v1 in that end game, team versus team. That's when I think I'd full send it against one another. But right now they have a mutual understanding that if they want to be secure in their position going into tomorrow, Group Green almost has to take that approach in these games.
Would be tricky. I think a lot of these teams are just going to be shooting anything that moves, to be honest. It's not quite like game hard when you know it's working. Into the lobby. Game Lord up against their first, well, they've already managed to get an elimination on the cards. Looks like Robs was able to secure one. GK have had a pretty tough time of it so far this game. They are down to their low player. Playing around the shooting range, up to 7 on the 8 bunkers. That north side, they have moved from Severny. Just trying to take Tabbing towards the task. Oh, not quite fine. Oh, DBS not quite enough to put Revo back down, and that's a double knock on the front there. For the challenge, we'll be able to succeed, but there is shots from the back line. Hang on a minute, there was a second coming through, there was a flush as well. Last player for Tem Entertainment.
बहुत aggressive खेल रहा है. सारा किल हो गया अल्फा 7 का. BP में फारिस वो.
Player in Mythic as well down towards that south side, so they were easily able to take out Tem Entertainment. Now they can start to move down towards the south. Mythic's been able to hold down Skylight's game for quite some time. It's a bit of a rough area though, honestly. So much open area around this bit. The fencing always comes into play where you've got nowhere else to play from, so you just send directly towards the fence. You hold up in that position. It's the only place to go, but more than likely you are not going to be making it towards that top 5 at that point in time. Alpha 7 though still have a good chance into this one. Vivo key towards the center of the map at the moment as well as Son HP, basically just roaming around towards that center and shooting range, trying to keep himself alive for as long as possible, understanding that, yes, from yesterday, learning from a lot of these teams, that the case of kind of consistency really is huge right now during this survival stage. Getting a few points on the game is absolutely better than going out guns blazing right at the start.
Just a moment, central position. For the southeast shift, this is 2 hard shifts in a row now that we've seen for southeast side. Keeps Game Lord in the slice and FaZe Clan as well over on that east. Still be in with position. Vacant time as well. They have that central spot. We've seen them be able to operate in those spots before and do so quite effectively.
Decent enough position. I think looking at them going forward with the high ground, it's not a bad thing for them to be able to play from this spot, watching down towards a lot of these teams. Unfortunately, northeastern side is where it is a bit more difficult for them because they don't have a huge amount of sight lines up towards that area in the first place. So keep an eye on that. Going to be slightly more difficult for them, but they will be able to have great angles down towards this western side, which is where most of these teams were able to make their way across. Rozhok, it's not likely a lot of these teams were heading over towards that Yaz Bridge side, over Stalba. A lot of these teams decided to sweep up towards that western side of the map, which is much more smart for them, considering on that side, well, there's a lot more room to be where. So, Making Time should have a clear idea of who's playing around them and which side of the map they need to be aware of.
Vampire. Good. They're going to be able to confirm that one away. The AUG doing a lot of damage there on that northern side. Very, very good there. West edge. To try and move through, but Vivo Keep to make that more difficult. Vampire might be able to aid them in that pursuit.
Vivo Keep taking a lot of shots at the moment. HVP in a decent position. They've got Matic and Meku behind over towards that western side. So they do have a couple of backstops. Again, it's this careful play style. We saw this yesterday. If you weren't with us yesterday, HVP were making a few adjustments in terms of how they were playing, a little bit slower. They fell a little bit short with Matic yesterday, taking a couple of knocks and a flush, but it was only 1 or 2. And after that, they were decidedly a different team, figuring out that, making sure they could sweep over towards the sides of the circles. There's not a huge amount of central teams at the moment, and they're able to pick up a lot of eliminations doing it this way too. But it is getting fairly cramped now on this northwest side. No one's really opting down to go towards the center. So I think for HVP, this is probably the smarter play style, which is to really, really go at it patiently on this edge. Vivo Keed is going to be an opponent they will have to face, so that's on their northern side.
On the north, off from the western edge. Taking shots over towards FaZe Clan. Instantly hitting the deck there, not wanting to take that shot. Not wanting to take that challenge. Contest a little bit too nerve-wracking. Shot spray down. Push on the north side. Really through on this crunch.
There's certainly an opportunity right now for the crunch to come in from HVP. I like that Kitsune is sent down towards the south, though, and I think for maybe Tixi, Meku, and Matic, understand if there's an engagement going on towards that northern side. Yes, you might lose out on a couple of limbs, but heading down towards Kitsune and maybe trying to push through the circle towards Inko might be your best bet right now. Reject, on the other hand, have managed to slip their way into an insane position towards the center of the circle, inside a very, very nice compound, which they can start playing from. That's very much on the high ground too. And as their first game, their first innings, with 1 elimination so far, they're looking set for a decent match here. Unless something absolutely disastrous goes wrong on their side, it is unlikely that we're going to see Reject be dismounted from this position at least the next 4 to 5 minutes. Inko as well, in that central spot, looking decently good for themselves. I think for Inko, today's games have just continually gone well from yesterday. Again, it's that momentum, that confidence they were able to bring through, and with not much to lose as a team coming into this, where you didn't do so well in your group stage and suddenly you're having the games of your lives. It's happy days.
Down one on the northern side, and a close and attentive watch from IHC, Godless. Deliver their way for a third party. They are able to
down one, suffering right now. Had a great day yesterday. Fell off a little bit towards the end. A 2v4 coming through from them as well, which was pretty damn astounding. You love to see that type of thing. Osal tries to move up in the UAZ, a fairly defended vehicle, but still quite easy to pop the players out from the sides through those windows. Fabian now sending nades, everything he can to try and clear out this position with IHC in front of them, causing a massive problem for themselves. Osal gets back up though, surprisingly. Sung is down, Forest 2 bleeding out quickly, so just Osal and Fabian now remaining for the down one squad, but 3 eliminations. I think that after clearing IHC and the majority of this northern side now being a little bit more clear, there is a possibility for down one gaming to get a little bit further into this match. HVP still hovering towards that western side, with Inko sending a slight scout towards the west, so should have spotted at least something coming through from them. Skylights Gaming took a fair amount of casualties early on, and VPE certainly not over from their big streak out yesterday towards the end of the day. 6 eliminations, the most in the lobby by quite a bit at the moment, looking for a little bit more too, and this is just clearing out. This is the team that likes to go face-to-face, you know, fist-to-fist with a lot of these other teams. They will go for these boxing fights, and usually, yes, they'll take 1 or 2 knocks, but it's absolutely worth it for them when they're taking position. They're more of a messy team. Borrow.
Bring it down.
Lucas, now from Vampire Esports. 3 players, 69 points so far, 8 eliminations. This is a very good start to the game for them. Inco also looking to get quite far into this game. They do get fairly circle blessed, and this seems to be a reoccurring trend for Inco. Maybe given a bit of a dime here for the rest of these matches. However, they have had a massive improvement in performance, and this is that confidence factor. Sending 4 into the building. There's Nenebete going down. That's their key player, though, and that's really bad news for them. And the rest of them getting crushed by Reject as they move in. Sweep the leg. Just this now, looking for a little bit more, but the nades are out. They want to clear out this fight quickly. Ragey will take down Becker, as well as one more. In the meantime, Tixie takes a knock, as does Gamelord. So it's all popping off at the moment as teams try to get in. Vitali, last member remaining on the outside, very, very low. And Divine maybe trying to look through with the PP Bison. Nade goes back through, looking for a little bit more damage. Goodness me, it's all popping off all over the place. FaZe, massive damage on their side coming through from Gamelord. It looks bad for them as they took an initial knock, but they brought it back their way. Vitali running around, just trying to keep himself at bay, keep himself alive. He's managed to find his way into the building, pulled the old switcheroo on them. You see even HVP on the ridge side now, looking to try and capitalize on the tail end of this fight. Duello, and a nade over the top. Schweppes takes down Fabio. 1 player left now for Damwon Gaming. Look a little bit bad. I think that's them now actually out. Tixie takes another knock. They are really suffering badly on this side. They were looking to try and take advantage of this engagement between Inco and Reject, but in the meantime, they've been cut off by the guys from Power underneath them. Yes, they're sending casualties back their way, but the knocks are not enough. And HVP's struggling a little bit. Now down to just 2 players, 2 eliminations. But again, everyone is similarly in a very bad spot. Reject now, one of the only teams alongside with Bacon Time, with all 4 players standing. Victor out in the open. And it's Ventores looking to finish the fight there for them. 2 elims. 8 teams remaining, so we're not quite in that high caliber of point scoring potential just yet. HVP do go down, as do Gamelord in the blink of an eye. Now we're down to just 6 teams. Power with 6 eliminations found on the match. 2 eliminations for Gamelord. Damwon Gaming still have a player in this though, in fact, so decently done for them. Osal just waiting in the wings. Still VPE, the big contender in this map up towards that northern side, that northern edge. I think you're looking at maybe another VPE win, just from the performance we've seen from them yesterday. On the other hand, though, Reject, look at this. Look at the control they've been able to have. This Compound's been in for so long. They're nice to sneak into this place nice and early. They fend off a good crash. They've got all the angles locked down there. And they'd set themselves up basically for that crash. It wasn't a case of presence in terms of taking shots outwards. They were literally waiting for someone to go for that crash and then take the shots inwards and get the crossfire set up. So a very smart move from them, understanding that that probably was one of the only options for some of these teams on the western side. 5 teams remain now. Vampire Esports up top. Circle moves away from everybody. So every single one of these teams will have to be crawling, moving in here at the moment. Bacon Time get quite far into this match. They've done well yesterday at the end of the day with a pretty damn explosive finish. They're looking to carry this onwards. The performance that Bacon Time were able to put up inside of their individual group, I think that we were expecting to see something a little bit more out of them here, John. Reject. Good shots down towards Vampire Esports. Ravenclaw, the barest amount of HP remaining on him. Struggling to get back up on his feet. In the meantime, Ventores, one of the last two players from Faceland, actually looking to do a bit more damage. Bacon time. Goodness me. A world of hurt on their side. Schweppes, though, gets absolutely taken out by Reject. Divine sending bullets through, and that's 10 eliminations already for Reject. A great result from them in Group Yellow, and Vampire Esports are down and out. Noise looks for Tony K. He's moving up. This boy has done work over in their region before. Now into the thick of it. There's smokes everywhere. Tim versus the world at the moment. Ventores finally up here to back up his teammate. The nade. This one's going to have to be crucial. Looks to see where he sends it. It's in the right direction as well. And Bacon Time have to scatter. Back into cover, though. And now Noise has to hit a big nade from this side of the map. He sees where the players are going. Tony K will take huge damage from this grenade, but he loses it in the wrong direction at the wrong time. And Ventores runs straight past it. Shirty is getting burnt up. Now, thrown a line by Aziz along the way for Power. 3 players up and still going. Tony K extremely low. Bacon Time might have time to restabilize here, but it is unlikely. Molotov is cruel coming through from Ragey, though, capitalizing over the back of this fight. And again, we talked about how maybe Reject was in for the game of their lives here. The survival stage will bring them through to the last chance, and they're starting this off massively strong. Now Tony K going head to head. There's a jump out from the side. He's flying, goes through the air, hits him with the wings, buffets him back. And now Bacon Time have the potential to get all 4 back up on their feet. Even grabs his teammate with the barest health remaining on his side. Might even get the first aid kit through. And Bacon Time goes from a disastrous scenario to maybe a 4-man squad. Power keeps the pressure over towards Reject, who do still have to move in from that circle side. Most teams will have an awareness of their position. Kante now taking a nice little angle from the south side of the map here. This is going to give them a lot of advantage just in terms of information gathering. Maybe he'll be able to do something with it, but Reject still that 4-man squad. Didn't have to use too much utility early on. Able to hold on to a lot of that ammo as well. With the vehicles, they're able to set up inside the building. They have a lot to work with here, specifically that high ground. Look at this, Bacon Time, up to 4 players. They have survived. They were on the ventilator for quite some time there, but somehow, some way, they've risen from the coma, back into the fray here. Straight out of bed, still in the hospital robes, but they've got a gun in hand. They're making it happen. Aziz, nade over the top. Just this. Takes a knock there. This is not how Reject would like this game to pan out. If only FaZe were able to do a little bit more on that eastern side versus Bacon Time. This could have gone a lot better. Style. 10 shots back up on that side of the map. And we're into that final zone now. As it starts to close, everyone will be having to head towards that open ground. Reject have that lifeboat, but look at this, Kante all the way down towards where Bacon Time are currently playing. Aziz is still holding on. Just this, heads down, and Kante might just be able to line up the entirety of Bacon Time here. Look at this, they're so low. Divine's putting in the damage too. Aziz explodes one of the players. Kante steps up, finds one. That Shirty's down, but Reject also have a spot on his position. He is ducking and diving, trying to get back up on his feet and get out the way. There's one other player from Reject down now, just one left remaining. 07 trying to do as much work as possible to keep Bacon Time at bay. They expected them to be much more hurt in this scenario.